If you miss my wedding, Madison, I'm done with you forever." The words hung in the air between the two sisters like a loaded weapon. Lieutenant Colonel Madison Viper Reynolds, the woman who'd led Special Forces teams through the deadliest missions in 3 different war zones, felt her chest tighten at her younger sister's ultimatum. Sophia Reynolds stood in her wedding dress fitting room, tears streaming down her face as she stared at her reflection. At 26, she was tired of being second place to her sister's military career, tired of watching Madison choose strangers over family, tired of understanding. "Soph, that's not fair. 16 years, Madison." Sophia spun around, her voice breaking. 16 years of sorry, there's an emergency. 16 years of empty chairs at Christmas dinner, missed birthdays, and FaceTime calls from God knows where instead of hugs. Madison stood frozen as her sister continued, each word hitting like shrapnel. "Dad's funeral? You missed it for a training exercise. My college graduation, deployment, my engagement party, some classified mission you couldn't even tell me about." Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'm getting married once, Madison. Once. And if you can't choose me this one time." The bridal shop fell silent except for Sophia's quiet sobbing. Madison looked at her sister, beautiful, heartbroken Sophia, who'd spent her whole life loving a ghost. "I promise," Madison said, her voice carrying the same steel she used when commanding troops. "I swear on Dad's grave that nothing will keep me from being your maid of honor. Nothing." Sophia met her sister's eyes in the mirror. "You've made promises before. This one's different." "Ah, why?" Madison stepped forward, placing her hands on Sophia's shoulders. "Because if I break this one, I lose you forever. And I'd rather die than let that happen." 6 months later, at 0500 hours on Sophia's wedding day, Madison's secure phone shattered the pre-dawn silence of Fort Benning. She knew before answering what this call would mean. Emergency calls at dawn only brought one thing: impossible choices. "Colonel Reynolds," she answered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Madison, we have a situation." General Harrison's voice was grim. "American hostages in Venezuela. Ambassador Williams and his family, including his 4-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son." Madison's blood turned to ice. She knew Ambassador Williams. He'd served with her father in Desert Storm, had attended Madison's commissioning ceremony 8 years ago. His children. "Timeline?" she asked, though she already knew her world was about to implode. Rebels plan to execute them in 18 hours, unless their demands are met. "We don't negotiate with terrorists, Madison. You know that." Madison looked at her dress blues hanging in the closet, the uniform she'd planned to wear to Sophia's ceremony. Next to it hung the blush-pink bridesmaid dress Sophia had chosen specifically because it'll look perfect with your complexion, Maddie. "Wheels up in 90 minutes, the general continued. "You're the only one qualified to lead this extraction. Those children are counting on you." Madison closed her eyes, seeing Sophia's tear-streaked face from 6 months ago. "If you miss my wedding, Madison, I'm done with you forever." But she also saw Ambassador Williams's family photo on her desk. Little Lucy with her gap-toothed smile, Marcus with his baseball cap, their parents beaming with pride at some family barbecue. "I'll be ready, sir," Madison said quietly, hating herself with every word. At that exact moment, 200 miles away in Savannah, Sophia Reynolds was having her hair styled for the biggest day of her life. "Your sister's going to cry when she sees you," Emma, her maid of honor substitute, said as the stylist pinned delicate flowers into Sophia's blonde hair. "Madison's never seen you this beautiful." Sophia smiled, her heart full of excitement. She promised she'd be here early. Knowing Madison, she's probably already at the venue, checking security and making sure everything's perfect. She laughed. "She's been planning my wedding like it's a military operation." The other bridesmaids giggled, but Sophia's joy was pure. For the first time in 16 years, Madison had kept her word. No last-minute calls, no emergency deployments, no broken promises. This morning, Sophia had woken up to a text from Madison. "Getting dressed now. Can't wait to stand beside my baby sister today. Love you, Soph." What Sophia didn't know was that Madison had sent that text before the phone call that destroyed everything. Madison's hands shook as she scrolled to Sophia's contact. Her sister's engagement photo smiled back at her. Sophia wrapped in her fiancé Jake's arms, both of them laughing at something their photographer had said. Pure joy captured in pixels. The call went straight to voicemail. Of course, Sophia was probably getting her nails done, her phone buried somewhere while she enjoyed her last morning as a single woman. "Soph, it's me," Madison began, her voice catching. "I need you to know that what I'm about to tell you is breaking my heart. There's a mission. American children are going to die if someone doesn't." She stopped, unable to find words that would make this betrayal hurt any less. "I'm so sorry. I love you more than my own life, and I'll spend the rest of my days making this up to you." 90 minutes later, Madison was airborne in a C-17, surrounded by America's most elite operators. But instead of reviewing tactical briefings, she found herself staring at photos from Sophia's bridal shower on her phone. Her sister glowing with happiness, surrounded by friends who kept asking, "Where's Madison? We can't wait to meet the famous soldier sister." Master Sergeant Jackson Torres, her closest friend and second in command, dropped into the seat beside her. "You look like someone just told you Christmas was canceled, Colonel." "My sister's getting married today," Madison said quietly. Jackson whistled low. "Jesus, ma'am, that's brutal, but those kids in Venezuela." "Need me more than Sophia needs me in a bridesmaid dress," Madison finished. "I know. Doesn't make me feel less like the worst sister in history." 800 miles away in Savannah, Sophia Reynolds was discovering that her maid of honor had vanished. "Has anyone seen Madison?" Sophia asked for the 6th time in 2 hours, trying to keep the panic out of her voice. She stood in the bridal suite at Magnolia Gardens, surrounded by her bridesmaids, college friends Emma and Claire, and Jake's sister Rachel. "She's probably just stuck in traffic," Emma offered weakly. "You know how I-95 can be." But Sophia knew her sister. Madison was never late for anything important. If she was going to be late, she would have called. Unless... The voicemail notification chimed. Sophia's heart leaped, then immediately shattered as she listened to Madison's message. "She's not coming," Sophia said quietly, staring at her phone. "There's a mission. Children are involved." She looked up at her concerned friends. "My sister isn't coming to my wedding." The room fell silent except for the distant sound of wedding guests arriving in the parking lot below. "Sophia, I'm so sorry," Rachel said gently, "but maybe she'll finish early. Military stuff can be fast, right?" Sophia shook her head, tears streaming down her freshly applied makeup. When Madison gets that voice, that mission voice, it means she's going somewhere dangerous for God knows how long. She's chosen strangers over me again. 3,000 miles away in the Venezuelan mountains, Madison was learning that some promises are impossible to keep. The intelligence had been wrong, dead wrong. The compound where the Williams family was supposedly being held was empty except for 3 guards who surrendered without firing a shot. But hidden cameras revealed the truth. The real hostages were being held in a cave system 30 miles deeper into the mountains, and the rebels had been watching American forces the entire time. "It's a shell game," Captain Riley Martinez, her intelligence officer, reported grimly. "They've been moving the hostages every 6 hours. We're chasing ghosts." Madison checked her watch. 1,500 hours local time. Sophia's ceremony would begin in 4 hours. If they could locate the real hostage site quickly, if the extraction went perfectly, if everything that could go right did go right. "Ma'am," Torres interrupted her thoughts. "Drone surveillance found them. Cave complex 40 miles northeast. But here's the problem. It's a 3-hour hike through hostile terrain, and the entrance is rigged with enough explosives to bring down half the mountain." Madison felt her heart sink. A 3-hour approach, unknown time to safely extract 4 hostages from a booby-trapped cave, plus extraction time. She was looking at a minimum 8-hour operation. Sophia's wedding would be over before Madison could even reach the hostages. At exactly 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as Madison rappelled down a cliff face in Venezuela, Sophia Reynolds walked down the aisle at Magnolia Gardens. She looked breathtaking in her flowing ivory gown, her blonde hair swept into an elegant updo with baby's breath woven throughout. Her father walked beside her with tears streaming down his face, proud and heartbroken in equal measure, proud of his daughter's beauty and grace, heartbroken that his eldest daughter wasn't there to share this moment. Jake stood at the altar in his navy dress blues, his eyes widening as he saw his bride. But as Sophia approached, she felt Madison's absence like a gaping wound. The empty space where her sister should have been standing seemed to echo with 16 years of missed moments and broken promises. When she reached the altar and handed her bouquet to Emma, sweet Emma, who was trying her best but wasn't family, wasn't the person Sophia had dreamed of having by her side since they were little girls. All she could think about was Madison's voice 6 months ago. "I promise, Sophia. Nothing will keep me from standing beside you." As the officiant began the ceremony, Sophia found herself scanning the crowd, hoping against hope that she'd see Madison slip through the back doors, still in uniform, but there, finally there when it mattered most. But the doors remained closed. Deep in the Venezuelan cave system, Madison faced the most challenging extraction of her career. The Williams family was alive, but barely. Ambassador Williams had a severe head injury, his wife was in shock, and their children, 4-year-old Lily and 7-year-old Marcus, were dehydrated and terrified. Worse, the rebels had wired the cave with motion-activated charges. One wrong step, one triggered sensor, and the entire family would be buried alive. "How long do you need?" Madison asked Sergeant Kim Park, her demolitions expert, as he studied the sophisticated trigger system. "To disarm this without killing anyone, 6 hours minimum, maybe 8 if they've got backup triggers." Madison felt her world collapse. 8 hours would put them well past midnight. Even if everything went perfectly from that point forward, Sophia's wedding would be nothing but a memory. She pulled out her satellite phone, staring at Sophia's contact for a long moment. What could she say? That she was choosing strangers over family again? That duty trumped love one more time? Instead, she put the phone away and got back to work. 4 lives hung in the balance, including 2 children who just wanted to go home. But as she worked to save the Williams family, Madison made a decision that would change everything. "Torres," Madison called her second-in-command over, "I need you to take command of the extraction." Jackson's eyes widened. "Ma'am? You're not abandoning the mission, are you?" "I'm delegating it to the most competent operator I know," Madison said firmly. "You've run extractions like this before. The Williams family needs to get home, but they don't specifically need me to make that happen. Colonel, with all due respect, this is career suicide. You can't just leave a hostage rescue for a wedding." Madison looked at her watch. 21:30 hours local time. Sophia's reception would be in full swing now. First dance, cake cutting, all the moments Madison had promised to share with her sister. "Jackson, do you have siblings?" "Yes, ma'am, 3 sisters." "Have you ever broken a promise to them? Really broken it in a way that cut them to the bone?" Jackson was quiet for a moment. "Yes, ma'am." "Did you ever get the chance to make it right?" "No, ma'am. My youngest sister died in a car accident before I could." Madison met his eyes. "Then you understand why I have to go." What happened next defied every military protocol Madison had ever learned. While Torres and the team continued the delicate work of disarming the cave, Madison coordinated the most audacious extraction of her career, not of hostages, but of herself. Using her command authority, she arranged for an emergency helicopter to extract her to the Colombian border. From there, a military transport would fly her to Atlanta, where a convoy of vehicles would race her to Savannah. "Ma'am, the Joint Chiefs are going to have your head for this," Captain Martinez warned as Madison prepared to leave. "Let them," Madison replied, checking her gear one final time. "Some things are more important than rank." The helicopter ride to Colombia was a blur of jungle canopy and radio chatter about the ongoing hostage situation. Madison monitored every detail, staying connected to her team while also coordinating her own impossible timeline. Land in Colombia, 2300 hours, take off for Atlanta, 2330 hours, arrival in Atlanta, 0200 hours, Drive time to Savannah, 4 hours. Arrival at reception venue, 0600 hours. If Sophia's reception followed the typical Southern wedding timeline, the party would still be going strong at 6 a.m. Madison might actually make it. At 0545 hours, as the sun began to rise over the Georgia coast, 3 black military SUVs raced down Highway 16 toward Savannah. In the lead vehicle, Madison sat still wearing her combat fatigues, her hair pulled back in a tactical bun, her face streaked with camouflage paint she hadn't had time to wash off. Her phone buzzed with updates from Venezuela. Hostages secured, Williams' family safe, all targets neutralized, mission successful. Madison closed her eyes in relief. Torres had done it. The family was safe, and her career wouldn't be completely destroyed by her decision to leave. But more importantly, she might actually keep her promise to Sophia. "Ma'am," her driver announced, "Magnolia Gardens coming up on the right." Madison's heart pounded as she saw the elegant venue ahead. Cars still filled the parking lot, a good sign that the reception was ongoing. String lights twinkled in the ancient oak trees, and she could hear the distant sound of music and laughter. "Pull up to the main entrance," Madison ordered. Inside the reception hall, Sophia swayed slowly in Jake's arms as the band played their third slow song of the set. The reception had been beautiful, better than she'd ever imagined, but Madison's absence cast a shadow over everything. "You okay, babe?" Jake murmured in her ear. "You've been quiet since the ceremony." "I just keep thinking she'll walk through those doors," Sophia admitted. "I know it's stupid, but part of me is still waiting for her." "It's not stupid," Jake said gently. "She's your sister. Of course you want her here." "She promised, Jake. She looked me in the eye and promised nothing would keep her away." Maybe something did come up that was more important than me. Sophia pulled back to look at her new husband. What could possibly be more important than me on my wedding day? Before Jake could answer, the reception hall doors burst open. Every head in the room turned as Madison Reynolds strode through the entrance, still wearing her combat fatigues, her boots clicking against the hardwood floor with military precision. She was dusty, exhausted, and clearly hadn't slept in 36 hours. But she was there. The band stopped playing. Conversations died mid-sentence. 200 wedding guests stared in shocked silence as the bride's sister walked across the dance floor toward the newlyweds. "Sophia," Madison said quietly, her voice carrying across the silent room. Sophia stared at her sister in disbelief. Madison looked like she'd just stepped off a battlefield, which, Sophia realized, she probably had. "You came," Sophia whispered. "I promised you I would." "No," Sophia's voice hardened, the hurt and anger of the entire day finally breaking free. "You promised you'd be my maid of honor. You promised you'd be here for my wedding. You missed everything, Madison. The ceremony, the first dance, the cake cutting, everything that mattered." Madison's face crumpled. "I know. I'm so sorry, Soph. There were children. There are always children." Sophia's voice cracked, tears streaming down her face. "There's always someone who needs saving. Always a mission more important than your family. Do you know what it felt like to walk down that aisle without you? Do you know how it felt to cut my wedding cake while wondering if my sister was dead in some jungle somewhere?" The reception hall remained dead silent, 200 people witnessing the most private moment of the Reynolds sisters' lives. "I left the mission," Madison said quietly. "I left American hostages in a cave in Venezuela and flew here because I couldn't break my promise to you again." Sophia's anger faltered. "You... what?" "I delegated command to my second and extracted myself from an active hostage rescue because my sister needed me more than my country did, at least for today." Madison took a step closer, her voice breaking as she continued. "Sophia, I've spent 16 years choosing everyone else over you. I missed Dad's funeral for a training exercise. I missed your college graduation for a deployment I could have delayed. I missed Christmas after Christmas because I thought my duty was more important than my family." She pulled out her phone, showing Sophia a photo of 2 small children. "These are Ambassador Williams's kids, 4 and 7 years old. They were taken by rebels who plan to execute them tomorrow. And yes, I saved them. My team got them out alive." Sophia stared at the photo, a little girl with pigtails and a boy missing his front teeth, both smiling at the camera in what was clearly a family vacation photo. But I also realized something in that cave, Madison continued. I realized that I could save every child in the world, but if I kept breaking promises to you, I'd lose the most important person in my life. So I made a choice. I chose you. The silence in the room was deafening. Even the wedding photographer had stopped taking pictures, caught up in the raw emotion of the moment. Sophia looked at her sister, really looked at her. Madison's face was streaked with camouflage paint and exhaustion, her uniform wrinkled and dusty. But her eyes held a vulnerability Sophia had never seen before. You really left a mission for me? I left a mission for us, Madison corrected, because you were right. I have spent our entire lives putting everyone else first, and I was about to lose the best person I know because I couldn't figure out that saving my sister's heart was just as important as saving strangers' lives. Sophia wiped her eyes, smearing her carefully applied makeup. Madison, you could get court-martialed for leaving a mission. Probably, Madison agreed, but I couldn't live with breaking another promise to you. I've missed enough of your life. The bride and her soldier sister stood facing each other in the middle of the dance floor, surrounded by wedding guests who felt like they were witnessing something sacred. You're an idiot, Sophia said finally. Madison's face fell. Soph, you're an idiot for thinking you had to choose between saving children and being my sister. Sophia stepped forward and threw her arms around Madison's neck. You're both, Madison. You're a hero, and you're my sister, and I'm proud of you for both. The reception hall erupted in applause as the sisters embraced, both of them crying now, Madison from relief, Sophia from joy. I missed your wedding, Madison whispered in her sister's ear. But you didn't miss my marriage, Sophia replied, and that's what matters. Jake approached the embracing sisters, his own eyes suspiciously bright. So, he said with a grin, does this mean I get the legendary Madison Reynolds as my sister-in-law? Madison pulled back from Sophia and studied her new brother-in-law, really seeing him for the first time. That depends. Are you going to take care of her? Every day for the rest of my life, Jake promised. Then welcome to the family, Jake. What happened next would become family legend for generations. Still wearing her combat fatigues, Madison joined the reception as if she'd been there all along. She gave an impromptu maid of honor speech that had the entire room in tears, talking about Sophia's strength, kindness, and ability to love unconditionally, even when her sister didn't deserve it. She danced with Sophia to their father's favorite song, both sisters ignoring the camouflage paint that transferred from Madison's face to Sophia's white dress. She walked Sophia and Jake to their honeymoon suite at midnight, helping her sister out of her wedding dress and into traveling clothes while they talked and laughed like they had when they were teenagers. And when Sophia asked what would happen to Madison's career, Madison just smiled. The Joint Chiefs will probably have some words for me, she admitted, but my commanding officer is a father of 3 daughters. I think he'll understand that some promises are worth keeping, even if it means bending a few rules. 6 months later, Colonel Madison Reynolds received the Medal of Valor for her role in the successful rescue of the Williams family. The citation made no mention of her early departure from the mission. Officially, she had remained until the hostages were secure. At the ceremony, she wore her dress blues with pride. But what made her happiest wasn't the medal or the recognition. It was seeing Sophia in the front row, 3 months pregnant and glowing with happiness. After the ceremony, as photographers snapped pictures and officials shook hands, Sophia approached her sister with a familiar request. Madison, I need you to promise me something. Madison tensed, memories of broken promises and missed moments flooding back. When this baby is born, Sophia continued, I need you to promise you'll be there. Not as Colonel Reynolds, not as a hero or soldier, just as Aunt Madison. Madison looked at her sister's hopeful face, then down at her medal, then back at the most important person in her world.